I'm actually gonna, as a producer right now, cut off Will's endless list because I think we should leave it open to some of our fans to like chime in with stuff because Will is
Yeah.
now naming everyone in the league.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Email info
I'm
at
kicking you from this
Sam
stream.
Merrill, Max Struess, Ty Jerome.
The whole Warriors roster except for Steph and Draymond. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, ONeal. I'm joined by co-host Alex Wong. You're listening to the Hello and Welcome podcast presented by Betway. Make sure you follow us on wherever you do social. We have not yet set up a Xiaohongshu, a little red book just yet, but however, you can follow us at Hello Welcome Pod, at least on the North American social channels. What's going on, Alex Wong? Still basking in this beautiful win over the Boston Celtics. I'm going to treasure it for a whole month. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, beautiful win. Just stepped outside today. The weather's not great, so this is what we've got to hang on to. You know, big win over the defending champion, Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown partying too much in Toronto. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's gonna get topped. This season, but we'll see.
You know, Toronto nightlife is crazy when people can get hung up on nightlife on a Tuesday because that game was played on a Wednesday. Like, what do you mean you went out too late on a Tuesday? What are you? I love Markkonen.
Yeah, no, Tuesday. Man, damn, man, this guy bringing back jokes from the post-game show.
Sorry,
Wait, you said that off
there.
there? Yeah, my bad.
That's fine.
But listen, man, today I wanted to talk to you about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. Wanted to ask you, Will, what does the word average mean to you?
I mean, average is not necessarily a bad thing. I think this is the thing. It's like average by definition is not bad. And I think that when people get called average, I think we're so sort of like, there's so much ego sort of put into it that like people start to take it as an offense. Average just means average, as in like you rank everybody from 1 to 30. Average should be like 15, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's not a bad thing. And I want to preface that, you know, like we are not going to be dissing players in this episode. I think we're actually just trying to find the most average players in the NBA right now. But I do want to know what your inspiration was for this. Like, why were you so passionate about finding the most mid players?
Yeah. So what we're doing today, the premise is that, you know, we as podcasters and everybody watching basketball, we always like to debate all-time greats. We like to point out when draft picks are busts, but we don't really show love or give space to just average guys in the NBA. And like you mentioned, average in a complimentary way. Like you could have a 15-year career, be really average. Nobody really ever thinks about you.
Yeah.
You collect millions, you get to do what you love, and then you retire and you still have the rest of your life ahead of you. To me, that sounds like a pretty great premise. So,
but hold on.
Yeah,
have you ever taken a shorty to CNE and then called her average? Because this is what I mean. People think average is an insult, and it's not an insult. It's just probably best left unsaid. But this is the premise of our whole episode.
Yeah, and what we're trying to do today is figure out who belongs on the NBA all-average team.
Okay.
And the premise started when we were watching the Raptors together earlier this season. And again, I said this in a complimentary way as we were watching the Raptors. I was like, is Jakob Poeltl not the most average player like in the NBA? In terms of he is a contributor, there's great things that he does, but are people thinking about Jakob like that? Like, you know what he's going to bring to the table, but he's never really going to soar into a star status. He is a starter in the league. Is he the most average guy? And that really sparked a discussion between me, you, and Jerome, just kind of going through and trying to figure out how to define what an average player is. So where did you stand on the Jakob Poeltl proposition?
I think it's totally fair. Like in terms of like average starting centers in the NBA.
Complimentary.
Who have been in the league for a while, who has always been a starter his whole career, but never like a top 10 level starter. Although I know Masai definitely pushed for him as a top 10 center at one point. But I think like it's not even just us, and it's not about this season either. I think Jakob has been a little bit better than average this season.
Yeah,
still probably not top 10, but still a little bit better than average. And even just to bring an objective view into this, friend of the program, Steph No, over at the Sporting News, actually ranked the starting centers in the league 1 through 30, and our guy Jakob Poeltl comes in at 14th.
Okay, there you
on
go.
this list.
So
Yeah.
well, I think statistically, that's one approach of looking at average players. You also just have to come in with the eye test as well, right?
Okay.
Just because. So let me propose to you, because like what we're trying to do is gonna try to build up an NBA All Average team of 10 players, and I don't think we're gonna get to 10 players today. But the plan is to have 10 players on this squad, and then we can move players out of this if they have above average performances or once they kind of break out of it. But we
Okay.
should have 10 players in this class at all times.
Let's go.
So people like to have 10-time all-time greats, top 10 busts. We're trying to find the 10 most average players. So let me pitch you the criterias, okay, from the committee of one.
Okay.
I know Jerome has, approved some of these, I believe.
I mean, come on, man.
So, okay, to qualify for the all-average team, number one, first rule is you must have at no point been discussed as a potential star player.
Okay,
So
so
if
no hype, no, like you
Yeah.
can't. Evan Mobley can't be on this list. For
Yeah,
example.
even
Not to
if
say
you-
that he's
Yeah.
average. He's obviously above average. I'm just saying.
Even if you say someone who was like drafted, like say Jalen Green. Jalen Green was drafted pretty high.
Yeah.
People might be a little disappointed in him considering how his other draft classmates are doing.
Mm.
He doesn't qualify because he came in with a certain expectation.
Okay,
And there
fair.
has been, because players like that will end up either being above average or a bust
Mm.
because of the expectations. So really, this is the expectations rule.
Okay, I
like-
like that. I like
yeah,
that. There's never been any hype. There's no muse account for these players.
Well, that's a tough one because I might have seen a Royce ONeal muse.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's not
Okay, fine,
bring
fine.
Muse into it. By the
Fine,
way,
fine,
ED
fine.
Muse is the best Muse account if you want to follow that one.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
sure,
so you
ED.
approve of rule number one.
I like it.
Okay. Number two is the crunch time rule. So in crunch time, this player can only be filling in specific roles like defending the opposing team's best player, rebounding. I don't know why rebounding is so funny. Boxing out, potentially being in the corner to spot up for a three.
What about screening?
Yeah,
for the
screening
ball?
or camping out in the dunker spot. Basically, an afterthought in crunch time.
They don't call this person's number in crunch time.
Yes,
Like on
exactly.
purpose.
Yes,
Maybe they get a
a-
putback
yes.
or something.
A supporting player. Like when you think of this
Yeah,
player, at
right.
no point in last 5 minutes of the game are the coaches or the fans saying, yo, get this guy the ball. Get
Okay.
this guy the ball up top, ISO him, let's
Right.
go.
We've never said ISO Jakob Poeltl in crunch time ever.
Right.
Yeah.
By
Okay.
the way, we're not even putting Jakob into the all-average squad because I do feel like I agree with you. He's kind of jumped slightly above average.
I mean, if he plays the Boston Celtics every game, he'd be an all-star. So
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the third rule, so that's the crunch time rule. And then the third rule is the general eye test rule. Okay. So it's like
okay,
you watch
alright.
this guy, like this guy comes up on your screen, you're scanning on League Pass, and you have one of two reactions, like, oh damn, like I didn't even know he was on this team, or like, oh wow, like he's still in the league. Or you're like, man, if I think really hard about this guy, if someone at a bar asked me about this player,
Sure, yeah.
there's really nothing I can say about him except, yeah, man, like
Yeah,
he's
man.
solid as hell.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
all the players that we try to nominate today have to fall into that. Like if you can tell me one like above average fact about him, then he's disqualified.
This is where
So-
it's going to get debatable, but
Yeah, we need to
I
be
do
really strict.
tentatively agree with
Yeah.
this rule.
We need to be really strict about these.
We are trying
Like,
to find the most average team. That's the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
too.
No, we're gonna have very strict criteria. So the next one
Oh, there's
is
4?
there's a few more. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
go,
There's
keep
2
going.
more. So 2 extra rules is that you're immediately disqualified if you can put together a 3-minute highlight reel of this player. So this is
Okay.
the Jeff Green rule.
Jeff Green was a problem. Yeah, like
because
10
to
years
me-
from now on Little Hongshu, like you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're really pushing this out, man. What's
Yeah.
what's the agenda here? So the Jeff Green rule, because Jeff Green was discussed by us as potentially belonging on this because he's been a very solid player for a very long time, but he has dunked on half the league.
He really has.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because of that, like if you have highlights, even like one huge highlight, like a DeAndre Jordan dunking over Brandon Knight. Like you're out.
Okay. I mean, DeAndre Jordan was pretty good back in the day.
Yeah. But this is just like an example.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and also, if you have an out of body experience in a playoff game, so this is the Alec Burks rule, which
Okay.
I know you disagree with.
I vehemently disagree with
So
this.
Alec Burks went off in Game 7 last year as the Pacers were blowing out the Knicks.
Man.
and when I think of Alec Burks, I think of that game. And because he had that out of body experience, he has been disqualified.
The thing is, nobody thinks about that game other than just the Knicks getting clapped by the Pacers at the end there.
But if I asked you about Alec Burks, is that not the first game you go to?
Probably not. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But what's your other? But what's
I
your
don't think about Alec Burks, bro. I'm well adjusted. What do you mean?
Okay, well,
he did have 26 off the bench that game. You know what? That was good.
There we go. 26. It was so memorable. I still talk about it.
I think what was most memorable for me for that Game 7 was the Knicks pumped like OG Anunoby full of horse steroids, like horse tranquilizer. They're like, get out there, OG. And it's like, bro, OG's clearly broken.
Oh, yeah,
he looked dazed out there. Like, why did they play him like that?
He hit like the first 2 shots, and then he's like, yo, I can't feel anything.
No, for real. Like, that was actually wildly irresponsible. But whatever. I mean, OG got the bag, so it's all good. But
okay, so we've got the Jeff Green rule.
I would amend this to the Kelly Olynyk exception because Kelly had the Game 7 against Washington. Right. When the Celtics beat Washington back in the day.
Okay,
those classic Eastern Conference squabbles that fell short before LeBron. But
no, let's go with that. And Kelly also,
because Kelly would have made this list, no problem.
Yeah,
without that kind of moment.
The extra Kelly Olynyk rule is also that because he injured Kevin Love, like he swung a potential championship. So
wow, yeah, I mean,
the
potential championship. I mean, I think the Warriors are pretty good that year.
Yo, the Cavs. I mean, LeBron was just with Della Vadova. Like if he had Kevin Love and Kyrie, I don't know, man.
Well, he didn't break Kyrie's arm. He broke Kevin Love's arm. Kevin Love was sitting out that year.
Okay, let's not argue the Kelly Olynyk rule here. That feels really average.
Okay, fair enough.
So before we get to the inductees, so I did some research. Journalism is slowly dying.
Wait, I do have one extra question, guys.
Yes,
because the original inception of this, the one key rule was Alex had to accept that they were average.
Right. Yeah, this is not a democracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you guys were
the Mao Zedong rule,
as you guys were submitting names, if it met all the criteria and I still didn't like them, like I was the final call.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is the Alex Wong veto. Is that still in effect?
That is. You know what? I want this to be fair. So this is a 3-man committee. So I feel like if Will and I cannot,
we can vote a 2 versus 1 in this one.
We'll bring you in as a tiebreaker, Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome can be the arbitrator in this situation.
I like.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but I still might overrule that. So yeah, so I did some research on this, as you know, journalism is dying a slow death here, and I'm trying to make sure it survives. So Reddit actually has asked the question before of like, who is the most average player?
Okay.
And there was a thread on this a few years ago.
Nice.
And some of the definitions in there, someone said that average player has to be a 7th man on a team.
No.
So it says naming starters is wrong.
No.
And also this user listed the example of the most average 7th man I can think of is Taurean Prince, who is a good nomination.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also don't agree with this.
Starters rule.
I don't agree with this because at this point, like if we're gonna call average as in like who is the 250th best player in the league of 500 players, then like that's not fun. That's not fun because like the bottom of the league churns every year. So I'd rather like stick around with like players who have been in the league for a while. Like I love the Harrison Barnes, for example. We can debate that.
Yeah, reject
like that style of player. You know what I mean? Like they have to be good enough that like they actually get playing time, and that alone already puts you above 50% of the roster because like half of every roster doesn't play every night. But that doesn't make it so that like the most average player is like Jamal Shed or something. You know what I mean? That's not it. So
yeah, agreed. Another user in this thread mentioned nominated Kem Birch.
Kem Birch would have been pretty. He's a little below average though. Let's be honest. Come on now.
That's the thing. You really have to hit this exact average line.
Yeah.
And this is like I don't know. I guess another rule is just like the 5-second rule. This might be getting into Malcolm Gladwell territory.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
What are you gonna tell me, man? Steve Nash is the point guard of Team
oh
Africa.
my god. Yo, why does Bill Simmons have one more?
Outliers.
Yeah, but the rule is like, listen, I just mentioned Ken Burch, and right away your reaction was like, no, like he just doesn't.
Bro,
fit.
come on, man. No.
No, I'm exactly with you.
Yeah.
So the Reddit thread also did some research and said that statistically speaking, the average player on a 12-man roster should average around 9.2 points,
Mhm.
3.7 rebounds, and 2.0 assists. And this is good to keep in mind as
Okay.
we nominate some players, because
Right.
it's actually pretty accurate of average players falling into these statistics.
Okay. I like that. That sounds like off the top of my head, that sounds like Royce ONeal, like the name you mentioned earlier. That does sound like maybe Royce averages more assists than 2, but
yeah. Well, hopefully eventually maybe the Basketball Hall of Fame can open up an all average wing.
that is literally against the definition of the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is to celebrate greatness.
Maybe they can have like a side room.
Uh-huh.
In where is the Basketball Hall of Fame? Why am I blanking on this?
What do you mean?
Springfield?
Springfield, man.
Yeah, okay, Springfield. That's where the Simpsons are. So
they're big
another Reddit user actually ran a statistical model during the 2022-23 season to find the most average player. I won't bore you with the math because I actually don't understand the math either. But he ended up coming up with the following names for most average player during the 2023 season. Anthony Lamb.
Oh,
Aaron,
that's good.
Yeah. Aaron Wiggins. Io DeSumo. Do your Io joke. Yeah,
nice. He's not even the most important Io in Chicago. Shout out to the Bear.
Yo, the Bear.
Okay, I used it yesterday. I'm sorry.
Hamidou Diallo, who we saw at the Ball Don't Stop run this summer.
Not Honeydew Diallo.
Yeah.
A delicious Asian treat.
Jake LaRavia.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Little Red Notebook, Kyle Anderson.
Oh, man.
Does Hamidou Diallo winning the dunk contest affect?
There you go. There you go.
No,
statistical modeling would not have.
That's the highlight. That's the highlight reel rule. Great.
There you
call
go.
out,
He's taken out the list.
Yeah,
okay.
He made the highlight reel rule, so he's out. Kyle Anderson, and then also former Raptor Will Barton. Nick Nurse's last gasp at relevance.
Nick was like, "I need help, man. I need help." They're like, "Okay, here's Will Barton."
Yeah. Aliens are pointing beams at the earth. I want Barton. So those are some of the names which were pretty good. So let's get to the current inductees. So these are my nominations, and we can go through them.
Okay, I'm excited.
Number 1 from the Los Angeles Lakers, Dorian Finney-Smith.
This is bang on, man.
The profile for Dorian Finney-Smith. Did you know he's already 32 years old?
What?
Yeah,
crazy.
Career average 8.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, 1.4 assists.
Okay.
He has only scored 20 plus points 15 times in his career.
And he's 32?
His career high is 28. Again, this is all complimentary. Again, I just want to say.
Right.
Now, this might disqualify him. You let me know. Because he has a fun fact about him that doesn't feel very average. He's the first player in NBA history to increase both his scoring average and 3-point shooting percentage in each of his first 6 seasons. So he improved for 6 straight seasons. Does that make him not average?
1 year he improved from 29.3% to 29.9%.
So
that's like missing 2 more threes.
Speaking of journalism, I guess I should have checked that.
Or he went from 29.3 to 29.9 to 31.1 the first 3 years. Like that's basically statistical variation at that point.
Improvement is improvement. It's like getting a pay raise every year by 2%.
He did peak out at close to a 40% 3-point shooter. This year he's actually shooting 43% from 3. Wow, good for him. But like it's still like very definitively a 5th option. I mean, I'm happy for him. Like he's carved out a really nice career for himself. He's made a good amount of money. But have I ever thought very hard about Dorian Finney-Smith at any point? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, so I think
this is a great call. Yeah,
I think he fits all the criterias. You don't think about him, not an option, not a number 1 option in the last 5 minutes of a game. Does not break the highlight reel rule, has not had an out-of-body experience.
But he's a good player, though. He starts all the time. He's been a starter his whole career. I mean, basically after the first 3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, very solid player. And again, these are really, another word for it is these are really solid average players.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting Dorian Finney-Smith into the
Yeah,
all average.
I think obviously
Hall
the
of
big
Fame.
thing with him is he plays good defense. But having said that, it's not such good defense that he's like in all NBA, all defensive team consideration. Like I never heard like a super strong push for Dorian Finney-Smith to be on the all defensive teams. He's also, I mean, not that this is the best measure for it, but like he's only one time averaged more than one steal or more than one block. Like he's never averaged more than one block a game. He's only averaged 1.1 steals one time in his career.
Yeah, this is the
you know what I mean?
Stocks rule. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just feel like obviously he's solid. Teams love him. He's your fifth starter. He defends. He knocks down a corner three. Doesn't ever set up the offense. Like this is like if Ochai Agbaji topped out at what he is right now and stayed that way for another 10 years. Which, by the way, Dorian Finney-Smith will be a great outcome for a guy like Ochai. Even though I think Ochai is actually a little bit better than him, but I like it. This is definitely an all average. This is a great start. I'm hammering absolutely yes. You are going into the all average NBA team.
Okay, next up is my guy Nicholas Batum. Career.
Oh my God, come on.
10.2 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.2 assists. Has never averaged more than 15 points in any season. Consistently in 11 seasons, he's averaged between 8 to 15 points. He'll always give you 8 to 15. Jerome, thoughts?
Does his international career affect this?
I did think about this.
Okay.
Internationally, he has been very successful.
Mhm.
He's averaged 30 plus points in tournaments before.
Wait, he's averaged 30 in tournaments?
Well, there was one tournament in, I believe, 2014 when he scored back-to-back 30-point games to lead Team France to the World Cup.
Oh, wow.
So he's had star moments on the internet. I think the fact that we're even debating this means that he might not belong here because he does have credentials.
I feel like he's a little too good for this.
Yeah.
Like he's had
huge play-in game to beat the Heat last year too.
Yeah. Didn't he?
He
made the max too, right? He made the max to go to Charlotte.
Yeah. Max, we might need to do the max contract rule too.
Right.
So yeah, I wasn't not too sure about this, but I did want to submit him.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't think of too many huge like Nick Batum moments. And to me, he's been like a really solid player for a very long time.
We all know what the biggest Nick Batum moment is.
What would that be?
Fourth quarter crypto, I got my tool in.
You know what? Culturally relevant, he's disqualified. Yeah, new rule. Yeah, he's culturally has been referenced in a song.
Yeah.
That does remove him.
Okay,
from
that's fair.
He's too relevant.
Yeah, it also seems that there was a period where when you would think about who was a missing piece or like a wing piece for a championship contender, like Batum would float around, and I feel like that's a little too good.
That's above average. Like he was covered.
That's above average.
He's also eye test like just a little bit too good to be called average.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had some skills in Portland and Charlotte, man.
Right.
This is the Malcolm Gladwell rule. The first 5 seconds, you don't feel that he's all average, so we're not going to induct Nick Batum.
Nick Batum,
the committee has agreed.
Slightly above average player, actually.
Slightly above average.
Yeah, slightly above average player.
Yeah, you've made it. Okay, next up. Hey man.
Hey buddy.
Just recently hit the big 4-0. What about you, bro?
A little more recently 4-0, but we are both in the 40 club.
Let me tell you, man, being an adult really comes with its share of challenges.
Definitely. I think both you and I are homeowners, and I think we're both also dealing with mortgages in life.
Yeah, man. Mortgage rates, choosing the right terms, dealing with paperwork. It can be really overwhelming,
I still don't know how that works.
Well, listen, that's where our friends at Dominion Lending Centers come in, man. They make the whole process simple and stress-free. Whether you're renewing your mortgage, hunting for the best rates, or if you just need advice, they're here to help, bro.
You know what? I am looking for that advice, and I think that's why I'm going to visit www.dominionlending.ca.
Yeah, man. www.dominionlending.ca. Take the guesswork out of your mortgage and step into financial confidence with our friends at Dominion Lending by our side. Joe Ingles.
Oh, that's good.
Career 8.0 points, 3.1 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Super average stat of the game. Somehow, in 2 seasons, he averaged exactly 12.1 points. But international resume rule, He's been a EuroLeague
Okay.
champion, Spanish League champion, Catalan League champion.
You didn't know that before you Wikipedia, though.
Two-time, yeah, I thought Catalan was a board game. Two-time
Oh, it's a place in Spain, man.
settlers
In
of
the
Catan.
independence movement, you know.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been there. 2 times, shouts to the Gaudi structures. 2-time NBL All-Star, NBL Rookie of the Year. I think the only argument against is the international resume, but it does feel like the moment that his name was mentioned, you seem like it kind of hit for you.
Yeah, it did kind of hit. I mean, you know, Ingles, he obviously had a few really solid years in Utah, was a solid starter for them, can kind of be a secondary playmaker for them. Certainly boomed the Raptors a few times. He's kind of a legendary troll. He actually finished second in Sixth Man of the Year once, which is the closest he's come to NBA accolades. That was in the 2020-2021 season. But like, I don't know, eye test wise, like I think obviously he's pretty good offensively. That's the most value he brings, but defensively he's pretty weak.
He also just
is there a Joe Ingles moment? Like, do you off the top of your head, if I asked you like, give me your top 2 Joe Ingles plays, like can you name a Joe Ingles play?
No, he passes the highlight reel test. And Joe Ingles, why did I just call him Joe Average?
You're a little Joe Average, bro. He average Joe, man.
Joe Ingles just looks and plays like an average player. Well, again, complimentary. Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna call eye test, like eye test a little nasty on this. Like he's like he would be a great YMCA hooper. And he's great in the he was good in the league too. I would not give him great. I would not give him great.
So we're gonna induct Joe Ingles.
Joe, even if you look at his advanced metrics, you know, like he's somehow minus 0.2 offensive BPM, which is pretty surprising. He's actually a 1.2 defensive player. That doesn't make any sense. It's saying that Joe Ingles is better defensively than he was offensively. I don't think that that's really true. Man, his true shooting's been good. He's got a 60% true shooting percentage.
Don't be bringing
career-wise.
true shooting to the committee, man.
That's
not gonna get him rejected. Come on, man.
Okay, what is this?
Talking TS.
What is this? The ball don't stop rule? You can't bring true shooting into this.
Well, listen, if there's an ounce of doubt,
why can't I do that?
If an ounce of doubt in your body, we can either reject this or we can bring in the arbitrator.
I actually think Joe Ingles is should be on this list of all average teams.
Does the arbitrator have anything to add to the Joe Ingles case?
I am in full agreement for the Joe Ingles case. I do have a note, just now hearing 2 players and talking about international success. I don't think we can factor it that much. I think the only way it makes sense is if you were to look at their international career, it was so good that it would have a positive effect on them making a Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Otherwise, I don't think we can, because like there's so many different international leagues, so many different international teams. Like obviously we're not going to go that far, but if we're like, hey, X player cooked for the Shanghai Sharks,
right?
That's just not going to factor in. So I think unless they have such an extraordinary international career to the effect that it would be part of their resume when going into a Hall of Fame induction, we're not going to
like a Ricky Rubio, for example. Like the fact that he played for Team Spain and won silver as an 18-year-old going up against Jason Kidd and Chris Paul, like that to me is like, yes, you're excluded. Yes, even though the rest of Ricky's career is kind of more average.
Okay. So we're gonna put in the Ricky Rubio rule.
Nice. We have like 20 rules and 2 average players so
Rubio
far.
international rule. Okay, so we are putting Joe Ingles in. Y'all know ISO Joe. We know average Joe.
Yo, average Joe's sick, man. Yeah.
Next up, Gary Harris.
Oh my god.
30 years old. Denver.
He's only 30?
Orlando.
Like he's been in the league since forever.
Averaged a career high 17.5 points in 2018.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a case against him. Career 10.8 points, 2.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists.
Right. I just pulled up Gary Harris's basketball reference page. I think this is how you know a player's average.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a nickname, but it's a terrible nickname, I feel like it's average.
Yeah. Was it G Money?
So he has G Money, which I mean, like,
wait, how is that right?
That's, I mean, whatever. That's not a good nickname. But the other nickname listed here for Gary Harris is simply just G.
Oh,
that cannot be your nickname. Your nickname isn't just the first letter of your. I don't care, bro.
He's the letter G. Yeah.
No, even the people who made his nickname were saying this guy's average. I'm not giving him a cool nickname. I'm just giving you G. Like, bro,
he's average G.
He's G for Vendetta, man.
And G, that's a good one. G is a very average letter too. which I think
Sure.
contributes to this case as well.
Yeah.
So Gary Harris,
Even his name is average. Gary Harris sounds like a pseudonym you put down in a hotel.
Again, complimentary. These guys have all had wonderful careers and continue to.
Absolutely.
I think Gary Harris. I think Gary Harris is in.
Gary Harris. I think the only time you really saw much of like in terms of like even when you look through like award potentials, like I never feel like Gary Harris was ever in contention for any awards.
Yep.
He was obviously solid with Denver. He was a starter for a while. It feels like Denver got really good after he left, but I don't think that's entirely his fault. I think he was actually pretty solid for the Nuggets for a while. Certainly a classic 2-guard, maybe a little undersized. We'll never say he was a dominant defender.
You're throwing out a lot of average terms.
You're calling
like
him solid on average, man.
Yeah. So there we go.
He goes to the Orlando Magic because the Magic have always tried to get somebody to play shooting guard for them. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like for so many years, and he just has not been it for Orlando. Then they got his replacement in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, also from Denver, and KCP's also kind of not it. But like, Gary, this is a good one. I think this is like without a doubt he's in there right now. By the way, you know how much career earnings Gary Harris has made so far?
How much?
He is over the 100 million mark.
There we go. Again,
incredible stuff, man.
These are all successful young men who are average at their occupation. Like we should all strive for that. Next up, Monty Morris.
Oh my God.
Denver, Washington, Detroit, Minnesota, Phoenix. Career 9.6 points, 2.4 rebounds, 3.7 assists. Classic. I think Monty Morris really belongs here because he's the classic. We need a backup guard.
Right.
We need Monty Morris.
Everyone gets excited to get Monty Morris into your team. And then you have him for a while and you're like, all right, we need to.
Yeah. Monty Morris is like filling in like a relief pitcher role.
He might be a little below average for me, honestly.
Okay. I'm happy to hear your case. Have you prepared a case for this?
So, yeah, I mean, for his career, he's played 407 games. He's only started 166 of them. You know what I mean? Like that's, he's only started 40% of the time in his career. I feel like that kind of counts against you a little bit. I feel like the fact that he's been on so many different teams is also a case of like other teams have decided, you know what, we can probably, upgrade on this.
You know what? I like that. Maybe it's the journeyman rule. Once you hit more than 5 teams,
right?
Like, can you really be average?
Well,
because you've bounced around too much.
It depends if you're bounced around at the end of your career. And then to be fair, he was in Denver for like a 5-year period before he started moving around. I think the question is like, would you rather have Monty Harris or DeLon Wright?
Not Monty Harris.
Oh, Monty Harris. So Monty Morris or DeLon Wright? Monty Harris is crazy.
Not Nicholas Ingles.
Just made a new person.
And DeLon Wright is a really good one too.
Yeah, DeLon Wright or Monty Morris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's either or. It's the either or rule.
Yeah, we might have to put both of them on this list.
Yeah, Jerome, thoughts?
I just hearing Will's stat about 40% of games started. I went to go look because like whether you take a Manu Ginobili who doesn't start all the time but plays so many minutes. I wanted to see how many minutes Monty Morris averages per game, and he's almost exactly at 24 minutes per game. He's 23.8.
Right, so he's averaging average. Yeah,
that's
he's
fair.
averaging average. So I'm just wondering, like, does that factor in?
So
the fact that he plays exactly half a game.
My thing is also as a point guard, you have a bigger offensive responsibility as compared to other positions. It's one thing for Dorian Finney-Smith to average 9 points, and they're like mostly corner threes and putbacks. Because I'm like, all right, cool, like that's what you do. But like if you're the point guard and you're still averaging 10 points, like at some point that drains on your team a little bit offensively. Now, granted, he did play with a lot with Jokic in his career, so like I'm not expecting him to like take the ball out of Jokic's hands, but still,
These are some incredibly average stats, actually, though. Like about 24 minutes per game. Field goal percentage 47.4, so almost half. 2-point percentage 52.5, almost half. 3-point percentage 38%, 39% roughly. Points. If we're saying like a good player is a 20-point scorer, he is 9.6.
Yeah,
exactly half.
We might have found the most average player in the league, actually.
Statistically, he is like one of the most average guys.
Defensively, like solid, maybe a little bit below average, but like, close enough. Like he's not like going to be targeted every single play down the floor type.
Yeah. I think he makes it in.
This is good, yeah. One of his nicknames, by the way, is Big Game, which I can't believe.
Yeah, and isn't it the count of Monty assist Tio?
Yeah, that's probably his claim to fame, is that he had a great
Incredible
assist to
that game.
turnover average, which that's
Which
probably
again
that's the
it's
one
the
area
most
he's not
average
averaging.
stat. That's such an average stat to bring out.
Wow, how dare you
Like-
disrespect Jose Calderon like that? That was what Jose was so good at.
Jose Calderon could have belonged in this list 15 years
Here's
ago.
maybe an anomaly.
That hurts. What's up?
In 2018-19 for NBA awards, he finished top 10 for Sixth Man of the Year.
No, man.
No?
Again, but again, a very average-
At exactly 9, just for the record.
again, a very
Yeah.
average nomination.
Okay. So if anything,
if anything,
finishing 9th strengthens the average.
It does strengthen the
it
case.
does. Yeah.
All right.
I think he's in.
He's in. Monty
think
Morris,
he's
you're
in.
in. DeLon Wright, last second exception.
DeLon Wright, we can debate. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Man,
like
DeLon
there's a
Wright's
bit of
so
a
good.
homer rule that's going to be in effect for some like Raptors and former Raptors, where
I
I think we might not be able
Yeah.
to have
DeLon Wright will
yeah.
table that for the next induction
Okay.
ceremony.
All
So
right.
last player to be inducted or to be nominated here is our guy Royce ONeal. 31 years old, Utah, Brooklyn, Phoenix, career 7.0 points, 4.8 rebounds, 2.4 assists, has averaging a career high 10.2 points
Sick.
this season.
Great.
But also crazy consistent across 6 seasons. He has averaged between 7.0 to 8.8 points. And yeah, he's kind of in that Dorian Finney-Smith class.
Yeah, a little bit more playmaking, a little less defense.
Yeah, got a little defensive reputation as well.
Yeah.
Does this hit for you in terms of Royce ONeal? Any
Royce
hesitation
O'Neal,
here?
man. For some reason, he in my mind, he feels a little bit better than when I'm looking at the numbers right now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
eye tests, you have him slightly above average.
I feel like what's helping Royce ONeal is that he's always been on playoff teams his whole career.
Right. But
So-
he's never had out of body experiences, no highlight reels, no accolades.
There's certainly not a highlight reel for Royce ONeal. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But my point is though, like, has him going to the playoffs every year of his career so far? He's been to the playoffs.
Sure.
Does that help his case?
But he's also played with KD on 2 teams.
Okay,
And
but
also
KD
Donovan
wanted him
Mitchell
on 2 teams.
KD wanted Utah Watanabe, and what's Utah Watanabe doing now?
He's having ramen right now without me, man.
But so you're making the case for him to not make it.
I just don't know. I don't know. I feel like
hear that.
I don't really have a great case other than in my mind he looks better than he is. I think that like he moves the ball well. He's a passable enough defender. I feel like you could have done this for Joe Ingles as well, and they were teammates as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, solid enough defender, solid enough 3-point shooter, like a pretty good role player. I mean, I'm kind of just describing an average player when you really think about it.
But if you have him as slightly above average just from the eye test, then we can disqualify.
Would you rather have Joe Ingles or Royce ONeal or Dorian Finney-Smith as the 5th starter for you in a playoff team?
That's so tough. You're asking me the most average question. Like that's just like it's an either or rule, like anything, it's cool. Yeah. Like,
does it change anything for you if you had one of those 3 players over the other 2?
I guess I would have to see how Royce ONeal or Dorian Finney-Smith is shooting in warm-ups, and then maybe I make a call and bet on the hot hand that day.
That's crazy.
Hot hand theory. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, listen, if you don't feel it with Royce ONeal, we don't have to induct.
No, there's nothing not to feel with Royce ONeal.
I think with any hesitation, like we should not move forward.
Do you know what Royce ONeal's career high is?
No.
23 points.
There we go. Yeah.
Man, yeah. I feel like Royce, you got to be on this list, man.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
he's
There's
in.
no case. I tried my best.
So today we're inducting 5 players: Dorian Finney-Smith, Joe Ingles, Gary Harris, Monty Morris, and Royce ONeal.
There's a lot of wings, man. What about bigs and guards?
Yeah, I mean we can get to that.
Okay.
On a future episode. So some honorable mentions here.
Let's do it. What else
we
you
don't
got?
We don't have to argue the cases for these, but
Let's do a quick fire. Like, well, just you give me the name and I'll give you yes or no.
Haywood Highsmith.
No, not yet. Not good enough to be average. Not yet.
Okay. Too young rule. Yeah, still developing rule. Yeah, let's not. Yeah, okay. Anyways, Trey Lyles.
Just consistently below average for me.
Okay, below average. Yeah,
below average.
So doesn't pass the expectations rule because he's actually not meeting.
Pretty close though. It's pretty close, but yeah, no. I mean, he's pretty much only ever come off the bench. I feel like he's never. I don't feel like he started more than like a quarter of his games.
Yeah,
Terrence Mann. Lyles. Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann might not make it because of the expectations rule, because I do feel like he was very hyped for a time, at least within like Clippers circles.
Well, remember when they were like, we will not give you Terrence Mann for Fred VanVleet, which was like, all right, bro,
right.
what are we
He's
even
their
doing?
he's their JJ Hickson.
Yeah, wow, JJ Hickson would have been an amazing one.
I mean,
that's hard.
we can have an alumni wing.
No, alumni we could do all day with this. Terrence Mann, I would give him. I would put him in
Potentially.
the average team.
Okay, we'll put him in
He's a little bit better eye test wise, but I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
And these
debatable.
ones, I believe you suggested Maxi Kleber.
Upon further reflection, I feel like Maxi Kleber was the wrong German to nominate for this because I feel like he's consistently below average for me watching him.
Okay.
I should have nominated Daniel Tice.
Oh yeah, Daniel Tice is a really good one.
Like, is Daniel
Tice feels to me like a little below average too, because he doesn't play enough. Does he play enough? I don't know if he plays enough.
People just sit around and debate, is Daniel Tice playing?
Yeah, this is the minutes. This is the does he play enough rule. Yeah, so
Daniel Tice did play on a playoff team in Boston for a long time.
okay, yeah, but
remember he knocked us out in the bubble, for example.
Sure. Well, then that might disqualify him because he
averaging 18.8 minutes per game.
Yeah, so a little below.
Yeah, he a journeyman backup. Yeah, and the thing is, he's like a 3-point shooter, but doesn't even shoot the three well.
Yeah,
he's undersized for a big.
Yeah, I think
doesn't
journeyman
really
rule.
make that great.
Journeyman rule works against him as well.
Fouls like crazy.
Yeah, fouls rule. Fouls too
okay,
much rule.
he's a little below average, but yeah, both Maxi Kleber and him are off this list right now.
And last one is Dwight Powell.
Dwight Powell is sick, man.
Because Dwight Powell is a very solid average player, I think, across both the NBA and international.
That's the thing. I think the international is huge because like Team Canada needs Dwight Powell, but every tournament I come out of it saying, "Wow, Team Canada needed Dwight Powell a little too much."
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's like a pretty big hallmark. As far as NBA career, he's definitely below average, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously a hustle guy, does the dirty work. Certainly seems like a great guy in the locker room. Seems like a great guy in general. Like all shouts to Dwight Powell. And shouts to his barber as well. I mean, Dwight Powell's made $75 million in his career, and he's got was that a player option next year for $4 million?
Yeah.
That's hard, man.
I love the pocket watcher rule.
No, so he's gonna be close to $85 million by the time he's done.
Oh, all these guys have had wonderfully successful careers.
Damn, bro, you can be an average player and make $100 million. Like, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, being an
That's
average
amazing.
player in the NBA is incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Okay, so those are just honorable mentions. So we've inducted 5 players.
Okay.
If any of listeners have any suggestions,
Dennis
please-
Schroeder.
I don't know. Didn't he have that one ice in the veins in a play-in game with the Lakers?
He hit a game winner
stared at
against
the
Memphis.
bench?
He did hit a game winner against
Yeah.
Memphis. LeBron hit
Yeah.
it to him. He did also have one year where he
International
averaged
career.
18.
A little international leap.
Right.
Yeah, international
right.
leap.
Yeah.
He won he won MVP for the 2023 FIBA World Cup.
He's almost
that alone is going to
Yeah,
disqualify.
he's
him.
in that Ricky Rubio zone.
He's a little too
kind
good.
of.
He's a little too good.
Yeah,
But he's been on so many teams, you know.
International does disqualify him.
PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker, I don't know.
For fifths alone, I hate to
too
say
culturally
it.
relevant. Too
Yeah.
culturally relevant.
PJ
Yeah.
Tucker, is it because of the PJ Tuckin meme?
No, because
No.
he's sneakers.
Oh, okay.
Like he's the sneaker
Okay.
king. One sat next to Joe Johnson when he farted in the locker room. So no, culturally relevant rule disqualifies PJ Tucker.
Okay, how about both Bogdan and Bojan Bogdanovic?
That's a really good one. I almost need them as a package deal.
Ooh.
The Bogdanovich
Like
brothers,
the
who aren't even
2-for-1
related.
DVDs at Walmart.
Bogdanovi?
The two Bogdanoviches from two different countries, Croatia and Serbia.
But I don't know, man. They feel slightly like above average to me.
Yeah.
They're
I
not
get
like
you.
completely. They could go for 30 on you.
I think
I
That's
don't
the
know if they've
Yeah.
ever gone for 30 on you, but like they could go for 30 on you.
I think they border in Batum territory.
They could
Yeah.
get the ball in the last 5 minutes, so they don't pass the
You're
crunch
right.
time rule.
You're right.
Yeah.
Crunch time, I've actually seen them both at
Yeah,
moments.
they don't pass
Clint
the crunch time.
Capella.
Yeah.
This is such a stupid game. I
That
love
would
it.
that one's like a little time relevant because Clint Capella like is a very serviceable to like good defensive big in this current league, where he would be
Yes.
super average in previous iterations of the league.
He did lead the league 1 year in field goal percentage
Leading the
led the
league-
league 1 year in rebounding as well.
How high has he ever gotten in Defensive Player of the Year?
He got as high as
consideration?
6 in Depoy.
Okay,
Yeah.
not that high then.
Who that
But
Depoy, who him is.
Leading the league in a category, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
if you lead
yeah.
the league in rebounding, I feel like that
Yeah,
disqualifies
that's
you.
a
That's the
disqualification.
Oh man, some other ones I thought Jonas Valanciunas.
No, just
He's
Why?
above average
Yeah.
to me.
What?
he's above that. Yeah,
Is it because he missed the tip in 2018 against the Cavs? Is that too relevant? of a
Above
moment?
average for me.
above average.
George
What about
Niang.
Luke, did we talk about Luke Kennard? Like he didn't get mentioned at all in this.
Oh yeah, Luke
Oh
Kennard.
yeah, Luke
Does he
Kennard, right?
play enough?
Does Luke Kennard play enough? Yo, this is
Yeah.
crazy, bro.
Because
I love where this pod is going.
No,
right
but
now.
this is the Landry Shamet rule because I wanted to put Landry
Mm.
Shamet in here too, but
right.
I don't
No,
think
he's below
Landry.
average.
Yeah, he's below average.
Okay.
I know he
Okay.
breaks the journeyman rule because he's been on like 9 teams.
Guys, I regret to inform you that Luke Kennard cannot qualify for this list because he had a 2-year period consecutively where he led the league in 3-point percentage.
There we go.
He
Just
shot
one-
49.4% from 3 1 year on
Yeah.
4.6 attempts.
Okay, yeah, so
That is-
he's
yeah.
disqualified. Yeah,
He
league
shoots
leader,
44% from 3. That's actually insane. Shouts to Luke Kennard, man.
Yeah.
rule. Yeah,
What else do I want to throw at you on this list? Georges Niang,
it's below average to me.
below
That's-
average.
Yeah, that's a below average player.
What about the fact that he contributes to winning teams?
Yeah, but again, it's how much is he contributing?
Contributes to winning teams is always bordering average.
Yeah.
Like it's
mean-
it's a bit above average, but like it's one of those things where like I actually compiled a list of like things you said during the podcast that like seem to lean toward averageness.
Okay. Yeah.
Carved out a really nice career for themselves.
Yeah.
Mm.
Super average. You cannot figure out what their salary is.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how
You'd
much
be
he
surprised.
Made. Yeah,
Like no
for
one
sure.
has ever said, "Oh, this guy's underpaid or overpaid." Really, like people are kind of perfectly fine with their salaries too,
Right.
to the point where they don't know.
Mm. Okay.
Terrible nickname. That one you guys already mentioned.
Terrible
Nickname
nickname is
rule,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
the G money
G,
rule.
G.
Yeah,
If I told you
money
who in the NBA is G, you would take
Yeah.
you 20 guesses to get to Gary Harris.
rule.
I
yeah,
swear.
G money rule.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also, there's got to be more than one G money in the league.
Sure. Yeah.
But this one actually really stood out. Very similar to salary. Will being surprised by their age.
Yes, because that means that
Okay.
they've been in the league for a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's surprising that they've been around for that long.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a thing of like them
Alright.
being like here the whole time, but also not here at all, which feels very average.
Right. They're like
They
kind of
just
like a background
existed.
character
Well,
in the NBA.
I almost think you have to be in the league for about 7 years to really qualify for this. Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
otherwise, it does feel a little too early. So yeah, we're gonna put in the 7-year rule.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Low-key, this is a super vet, but like Taj Gibson.
Ooh.
I don't look at him as average. He almost belongs in that like Udonis Haslam category of like
What?
longevity.
Which is average.
But you,
UD was also a very average player.
I wouldn't
but
put UD's like too much of like I don't know, man.
I guess
like
he started on a.
I mean,
on a
UD
championship
is
team.
like
I
the
can't just
epitome
start
of
on a
heat
championship
culture.
team.
yeah, like he represents something that's not. He
culturally
represents
relevant.
something.
He's
Yeah,
But
culturally
as like
relevant. Okay.
as a basketball player, heat culturally relevant, yes. But as
Yeah.
a basketball player, UD does like really range in the.
But UD
average
almost
space.
below average in that. Like he didn't even play his last like 6 seasons in the league.
Let me give you Grant.
Well, I think at a
Williams.
time he was average. At a time he was.
Okay, but I'm actually gonna, as a producer right now, cut off Will's endless list because I think we should leave it open to some of our fans to like chime in with stuff because Will
Yeah.
is now naming everyone in the league.
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Email info
I'm
at
kicking you
Sam
from this
Sam
stream.
Merrill, Max Struess, Ty Jerome.
The whole Warriors roster except for Steph and Draymond.
When he's healthy,
Kevon Looney.
Jared Vanderbilt.
Kevon
Oh.
Looney was like high on the list. Yeah.
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 This is
All
a
right.
great game. I
So
love it, man.
submit your all average names to info@stephenlebron.com. Please make a brief case for it,
Yes.
if you can, so the committee can actually debate,
Mhm.
or we're happy to arbitrate. Before we wrap up, speaking of,
I do have one
average-
question about
yeah, what's up?
this here. So this list that you've come up with,
Mhm.
is this the all average first team?
It's more of a. It's
Ooh.
I guess it's
Because
kind of
like,
like
if
a
if
hall
we
of-
find people that are more average than them, do we knock them down when we start building out like a whole roster?
So the rule is there can only be 10 players on this NBA All Average squad at one time.
So it's like all-star but average.
But like we can,
it's a floating average.
If Royce ONeal scores 40 points tomorrow, he's out.
Again, his career high is 23, and he's played in the league a decade.
Or if Monty Morris dunks on Wemby tomorrow, he's out.
Where does Monty Morris even play right now, man?
Yeah, he's in Phoenix.
Oh, word? Okay, good for him.
Yeah.
Happy for him.
So
when it comes to average players, somehow Alex knows who he played for immediately.
Yo, it's actually kind of incredible.
That might have to be the who he play for rule. Like Alex actually knows this person. Like he plays
Reggie
enough.
Jackson.
That's a good one too, man.
Okay. No, Will.
Kelly Oubre Jr.
Too culturally
What's culture relevant on Kelly Oubre?
League fits rule. That's the league fits rule.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, so we're gonna have 10 players on this at all times. Right now, we've inducted 5.
Nice.
So we can revisit and get 5 more in.
Before we get back to the show, we just want to let you know that this podcast is proudly brought to you by Tangerine. Tangerine is the official bank of Hello and Welcome, the Toronto Raptors, WNBA, and the NBA.
Yeah, man, and fans are at the core of everything that Tangerine does, and they're not just fans of basketball, they're fans of fans, right? And Will, I know you know what it's like to be a fan. You're a fan who's got a nickname for every starter. You're a fan who's 5 inches from the screen when the game is on. You're a fan who'll show up to Jurassic Park in a blizzard to cheer on your team.
They call me Fan Ho Park.
No, that's what Tangerine is all about. Fans of fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you're hearing this, there's no doubt in your commitment. And fans like you are at the heart of what makes this game special. That's why for the Raptors' 30th anniversary, Tangerine is shining a light on you, the fans, and celebrating the passion that you bring to the stands, because this is how we fan. To learn more about Tangerine's basketball partnerships, head to tangerine.ca/basketball. Now let's get back to the show.
All right, before we wrap up, speaking of average, one of the most average teams right now, the Golden State Warriors, are exactly 20-20. I know we saw them against the Raptors this week. They seem to be down bad right now. I think fans are waiting for the Warriors to potentially make a trade. I know Jonathan Kuminga gets talked about all the time. Steph did say after a win over Minnesota this week that, the Twitter people need to slow down and, they're going to figure it out. So right now,
just say Jim Park's name, man.
Just say Andy Lou. So right now on Betway, the Warriors to make the playoffs. So this is to make it through the play-in. Right now they're in 10th. To make the playoffs, make it to the top 8 is at 1.95. Can you see the Golden State Warriors ending the season in a top 8 spot and playing in the playoffs proper?
So I really feel like the Warriors need to make one more trade. I feel like the Dennis Schroeder trade was just kind of a trade they made just to make a trade, because I don't feel like that has really improved their team. If anything, he hasn't really fit in well. I mean, he's a solid player for sure, but I don't know if like another small guard is what the Warriors have needed. They need obviously a jump from Brandon Podziemski at any point this season. Clearly he's kind of going through a sophomore slump. Jonathan Kuminga, he's the classic, like, give you 30 points one night, give you 8 points the next night kind of guy. Overall, they feel kind of small. It feels like they're always sort of like putting this whole team together with duct tape. My issue with them is I think they'll end up in the play-in this year. There's no real, maybe I suppose they maybe drop out of the play-in, but I do think they'll be in that sort of 9-10 play-in range. The issue with that is, they have just not been particularly good in the play-in, I feel like.
Yeah, they got knocked out by Sacramento.
Yeah, by the Lakers
last season. The Lakers have taken care of them. I think they lost to Memphis as well, like a few years back. And
they're just
the
not
West,
good at the play-in.
The West play-in is right now you're looking at having to get 2 wins against teams like Dallas, Minnesota, Phoenix, Sacramento, and if the Warriors stay in the 10 seed, you have to win 2 road games.
Mm.
So
the Warriors, this is wow, to make the playoffs. You gotta give me the odds again.
Yeah, so the odd to make the playoffs is 1.95. Okay. No is 1.75.
I'd probably go. Man, I know you've given me so many Warriors props over the course of this year, and I've been flip flopping.
Stop exposing me.
The Warriors
is my go-to move.
The Warriors are also the most mid team in the league. It feels like.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna say no. They're probably not gonna make the playoffs.
So
man.
Warriors to not make the playoffs is 1.75. Make sure you hit the QR code below and get all your basketball betting odds on Betway. So perfectly average way to wrap this one up.
They are actually the most average team in the league. They're actually, as of time of recording, they're 20-20. But yeah, man, this was fun. I think actually having this whole discussion made me realize that Jakob is like definitely a little bit above average. Like
Definitely
he's in a
above
solid
average.
like 11 to 12 range in terms of centers in the league.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
and,
I mean, we can certainly another time revisit doing a slightly above average team as well. Yeah.
Oh, slightly
You-
above
you
average
rea-
team?
You really got to thread the needle on that one.
Eric Gordon.
I don't know if he hits that sweet
Hey,
spot
man.
for me.
What about that Clipper Eric Gordon? Clipper Eric Gordon, you know, New Orleans Hornets Eric Gordon.
Yeah, I know. Damn, I don't know. All right, that's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate everyone for tapping in here. Again, leave us your favorite average players in the NBA and make your case, because you got to make a case. It can't just be you throw a name out there because you don't rate them or whatever. And again, it's not an insult to be average, because
It
like
is not an insult.
the average player that we had on the average team is made an average of like $80 to $100 million.
Yeah.
So they're all winners in life, but in the NBA, are they relatively average? So we will have to hear your thoughts as well. But for myself, Will, my co-host Alex Wong, for producer Jerome Chang, this has been the Home Welcome Podcast presented by Betway, and we will catch you later on next week.